When I was still a young preacher in the African Methodist Episcopal Church, the first people who were above us that we encountered were African Americans, and we adopted their styles of preaching. We adopted a manner of speaking from them, manner of preaching, etc. And I remember it was fashionable for some of my colleagues to go to America and come preaching, hey, baby making babies, this concept of, and that was in the 80s then, when people began to like you're talking something different and wonderful, the sermon, baby making babies, when you could not even contextualize that to your people as to what is happening here and put it in the language that people would understand. It came to mind. Somebody used to preach sermons, like pick up sermons in America and come and re-preach them to us. You know what I mean? I think preachers must now be very contextual, and they don't need the pulpit anymore. I'm still a preacher. I talk with people wherever I go, and I reckon that is a kind of sermonic. It's preaching. I'm reaching out to people in their language, on their level, on the ground, and I'm happy about it. I will come to the term timer, calling somebody of my age timer. As I was thinking about this term now, it struck my mind that one person who can qualify to be a timer in my area of life, it is none other than Dr. Alan Busak, because in its context, the word timer came from he who has done time in jail. So you are a timer because you have done time in jail. And maybe Busak is not such a deep timer because he didn't do many years. I don't recall how many years or months did he make in jail. But this was a brilliant scholar, brilliant theologian, liberation fighter, lot of other things. And today, there is a contest around his name as to whether the University of Western Cape must be named after him. I don't agree that it must be named after him. He has done a lot of good, but he has done damage. A person like that, you just have to be prim all the way. You can do other things like, Bishop Tutu, Archbishop Tutu, um, trying to counsel him around his marriage and the woman she was running around, the husband crying on TV and all that. That was pain to a family and pain to the society. We cannot say because you have been a liberation fighter, all these things must just be wiped off as though nothing has happened. If we are very serious about reconstructing society, refashioning society, we must be very conscious of the fact that you cannot name UCT after my greatest one-time hero, renowned around the world, in the Netherlands, in the Americas. I tend to say Americas, but I'm talking about United States of America, because the Americas are broader than that. And this is the one guy, the one fellow that people would compare to Jesse Jackson and them, Al Sharpton, and so. He's a good preacher, but you don't just name an institution because this has been a good preacher. This has been led a march to Paul's Moor. to try and get Mandela out of Portsmouth, which was impossible mission, of course. Now, what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to get around the word timer. I am going about educating society. Now, I can do it on a video, but wherever I can, I will educate. I won't hesitate because I'm called to be, I cannot be a corrector of everything. No, I'm not very correct myself. But whenever I feel the spirit to correct, I will act and correct it. I was in a bank a few minutes ago, and a young man, a teller who I tried to make some, jest with other two tellers, and he was not with us, and I didn't worry very much. But when I said, bye-bye, I'm going now, he says, bye-bye, timer. Then I stopped and came to him. Said, listen, don't call me timer. You'd rather say Ntate Moholo or Ntate Baba, not timer. She says, what's wrong with that? I said, timer means I've been in jail. I've done time in jail. That's where it comes from. So I'm nobody's timer, but I'm somebody's grandpa and even great-grandpa now. So I cannot tolerate. Timers are people who would come out of jail and show off that they have been in jail, also by cutting their hair to the level called chiscop, shaving off altogether, and walk certain styles. I used to walk those certain styles also before I became a preacher. But when I'm a preacher, my gait also tended to be Americanized. I mean, we get influence in life. And some of my friends, and we used to laugh when we walk like Americans. You know, I can feel sorry for the NGO pastors and so on because they could not walk like Boers. But Americans are very charismatic. We could imitate them and walk like them, preach like them, and so on. But you can imagine if you're beginning to wear gray shoes and gray suits because you're just a NG Domini, that would be, you look like a mojo, of course. But what I'm trying to say is this. I told this young man, and he was shocked, and I don't know whether he was genuinely shocked. And he said, what's wrong? So what about old lady? I said, old lady is on the milder side. It's a direct translation of Mosadi Moholo. And you say old lady. If Americans say to somebody, old lady, there is a word lady in there. There's still respect. But you didn't know until I told you now that timer means one who boasts that Ek is a timer. And coming from the tradition of having been in jail, you are praising a former prisoner for being in jail when you say they are a timer. I came back to the Val, and I was cleansed when I walked around Everton West, where I was resident, when I pitched up after many years, after more than 30 years outside of the Val, when young people and I greeted them back not so warmly like I warmed up to those who said Ntate Moholo, because I knew that I would have to give a lecture to them, and sometimes too tedious. And I'm tired. I have to walk fast, get to something done, and come back home, and so on. So I'm trying to say to you, let us correct these things. I corrected in the other video where somebody, for instance, if a young man says to me, Heita, in Sesotho, nka mo bitsa ka kgaitsedi ya malome. You understand what I mean? Because if my temper is high, nkana ka mo bitsa ka kgaitsedi ya malome. Because really, you can't say Heita to me. That you must know that you can say Heita to your contemporaries. to me. You don't know me from Adam. You come and say hater to me. Like this young man who was interviewing Kaiser Khanyaho and said to Kaiser Khanyaho, Brakeza, whatever he said. There's this this name Kaiser. Sometimes it's pronounced Kaiser. It's not big deal, you know. It's not so much business of mine. But when I was, I didn't like it at all. I said, look at how we have stooped low. Kaiser Khanyaho is the National Peace what is it called? National Prosecution Authority spokesperson. And you come and call him Brakaiza as though you have been partying with him sometimes, partying with him perhaps with the cartels and stuff like that. The name has come into a vocabulary very fast. Now you don't say timer. It's like I can repeat it. You can't say to to Dr. Kaiser Mutaung, Kaiser to him when you are what we call a lighty. You must know that which level of people can call him bra and how close are they? First time I met Kaiser Mutaung in his offices, it was in the 80s. And the men we were doing promotions in the townships, very hefty promotions. And my MD, when we were in Kaiser's office, he started calling him Brakaiser. It was acceptable, but I made sure that I call him Mr. Mutaung because I didn't want to drop my guards. I needed him to see that there's somebody more formal with him. I'm getting an example. I'm giving you an example. So I'll keep on teaching now. I don't have any pulpit but this sofa now. And from this sofa and other areas where I can put my backside, I will keep on preaching the new contextual sermon. Might not be theological, might just be a social, contextual teaching, sharing. For instance, I wanted to say this again. I went to a bank in Pretoria where gangsters seem to come a lot from Pretoria these days. And I went there, and as I was presenting my case to a sub-manager there, guy who could attend to certain issues, and I spoke to him in Sesotho and in English, because those are proper languages. He started saying to me, Jeffostanmus, and I said, now you're twisting my arm. You say, Jeffostanmus, you are trying to put some drug in my mind. Ek verstaan what? Let's talk. And it is in this very Pretoria where I would stop in a filling station and a young man would come to me and say, would call me in the Pretoria style. They used to call us in Atteridgeville, they used to call the M, the P, and so on. I've just forgotten what the bra. They say the bra in Pretoria. I say, wait a minute now, take it easy. Kintate vilakazi, kimusutu. Kintate vilakazi, kimusutu. I'm not the bra. So that next time when I come there, nobody calls me the bra. If you lower the standards, you are lowering the standards of the country. That's why you have a whole troop of policemen lining up from the National Commissioner in the dock. Because you lower the standards. At every place, government place, people they make noise. Even, when you go to places like SASA offices, they don't respect the old. They keep on saying, Pinchi Army, and when they see somebody, my leader, and all that. Happy Valentine's Day, hey, day, all around. and taking your time. People today, they don't respect you. They are serving you at Checkers. They're talking to somebody. They're making a joke. They're dealing with your money. They don't respect your money in their in their fingers. They're talking with somebody. They're talking stories about the weekend and so on. Hey, come on, man. I will always warn you. And a friend of mine, I saw him warning them even stronger because because he's of the colored tradition. He warned them in Afrikaans, and it comes out very heavy. If he warned them in English, it was English of the Afrikaner, Afri- Afrikaans accent. So at least my accent is not Afrikaans. I will warn you now. Take it easy when you talk with people. Everywhere I go, these are my days. I'm going to tell young people, call me Ntate Moholo. Don't rush me. Even if you're my relative, don't rush me and say to me, Exebra Opa. I mean, I've never had whiskey with you. You must check out, man. Thank you.